morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. Welcome back. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. This is Angela with Notes on the News, another edition where I read to you headlines from my news feed and share with you my thoughts if I feel like sharing them on the headlines based on having read the article, having read the headline, or being an expert in the subject matter. But it's not news, it's just my notes on the news. So let us proceed. Notes on the news. Spike Lee's She's Gotta Have It renewed for season 2. Yay! I don't know. I finished watching all 10 episodes, so all of my reviews are up. Yay! So you can catch my review of the first season on my channel. I think it's all in a playlist too by now. And I mean, I'll probably watch season 2. Probably, I guess. I don't know. Yay! Congratulations to all of the folks who, worked on that, and congratulations to all of the folks who really loved and enjoyed the show. I was there were some things that I really liked about it, and some things that I was just like, Oh, but I did say that after I watched the series, I was going to rewatch the movie because it's been about 30 years, 35. It's been years since I saw it. A U.S. Customs computer snafu caused major airport delays. Didn't we have a customs snafu situation normal all effed up not too long ago? It seems like it's been within the last 2-3 months, right? So maybe it's not situation normal. Maybe it's not a snafu anymore. Maybe it's just the new way things are. And is it interference from the outside? Is it cyber? Something going on in the cyber world that they just don't want to tell. They just don't want to tell us about. Tech firm dedicates $8 million to digital skills training in Africa. What it's like to fly TAP. I think that's the Portuguese airline. The airline with the most handsome crew in the world. Do they have all male crew? Why are they called most handsome? Or they mean handsome, like sometimes you can say a woman, oh, she's handsome. I've heard people use that expression. Usually they use that, when women are attractive, but maybe not the most feminine, but I don't know. Dozens of reptile eggs found in Australian school sandpit. A sandpit is like, we don't call it a sandpit. Like a sandbox. Do they still have sandboxes here? When I was a kid, we had one in the backyard, a sandbox. And it was full of sand, and as a child, you would go and you would dig in there with your shovel, your little bitty child-sized shovel, and your buckets, and you do stuff. I guess it was supposed to be fun. I was never into it, but we did have one in the backyard. But they done found these eggs. They say they're reptile eggs, and the word on the street is that they're the brown snake, which is the most common snake killer in Australia. So the children gonna be there playing, and the things is gonna hatch and get them, or be hatched, and the children, and oh my gosh. And it was not 1, not 2, not 3, not 12, dozens, plural. That means it was at least 24 eggs. What? Oh my gosh. But I don't think it was a child who found them. I think it was some other way they found them. Deadly New Year church attack in Nigeria. Oh, rest in peace. I don't know how many people made their transition. I want to say it was 16, but I'm not sure because I did click on the article and they don't have it in the headline. But peace to all of us, all of the people in the world, and all of the people who, lost friends and family and community members, not only in Nigeria, but wherever people have been lost. A new tube map has revealed the highest earning areas of central London, and the wealthiest borough pays the least. So you get paid more to work in the poor boroughs. So maybe the people in the poor boroughs get the most pay, and they're actually the wealthy. It don't work like that, does it? I don't know what that means. Taiwan dentist must repay mother for training fees. She had the child sign a contract. She paid for him to go to dental school, and she had him sign a contract saying that he would pay her a certain amount back. And now he's saying he don't want to pay her back because he was young when he signed the contract. He ain't know what he was doing. And beside that, how dare a mother charge her children for raising them? And she said at some point she realized that her children were not going to support her in old age. Although the law in Taiwan, there is kind of a law type thing situation in Taiwan, according to this article. Like the civil law requires children to take care of their adult parents, but most people don't sue, their kids to be like, you ain't taking care of me, I'm old. Shoot, by the time you get old and you need somebody to take care of you, do you even have the wherewithal or the sense or the consciousness to go sue somebody? And then if you sue somebody and force them to take care of you, are they really taking care of you? It's like paying somebody to love you. Do they really love you? And then in addition on this story, the brother is also, I think he's a dentist as well. And instead of paying, they had an agreement where he would pay her, let's just say $1 a week. He just bought her off and said, well, I'll just pay you, here's $100 and we good. She said, we good. They signed the paperwork. They're done. Wow. I mean, yeah. Okay. Hoda coped. I'm mispronouncing her name. Hoda, she's like an Egyptian woman. I don't think she identifies as black, but some of us would see her and be like, she black. But I think she identifies as Egyptian. She's on like the TV, the morning shows. She has like a colleague, like her white blind. I think the woman is blind, and whenever I've seen the show, which is only like 2 or 3 times for like 4 or 10 minutes, they're like drinking and joking about how much they drink and how much they like to drink. I guess that's their shtick or the running joke, because it seemed like I ain't seen them that much, but that's the sense I have of them. But anyway, Miss Hoda will be Matt Lauer's permanent replacement as Today co-anchor for NBC. So I guess congratulations are in order for her. I guess, yay. India Muslim man beaten to death over New Year's music. I think that he approached some people because he felt that they were playing their music too loud and asked them to turn their music down, or told them. I don't know how he approached them, but they beat him to death. I don't know if it's because he was Muslim, because that was part of the headline, or, but they felt, I don't know, who out here beating people? I mean, somebody asks you to turn your music down. We can't, this is the best way we got to handle things. Now, these, of course, are fringe stories. I'm sure people get asked to turn their music down all day, every day, and they ain't beating people to death. So this is not like the standard. This is not the new normal. That's why it's newsworthy. It's exceptional. But rest in peace to the man and his family and his community. Nearly 17 years after Life in Debt, that's the name of a film, Jamaica remains in a precarious state, thanks in part to the IMF and World Bank, International Monetary Fund. Hold on a second. I thought the dogs were barking at a bird, but it was someone at the door. Nearly 17 years after Life in Debt, Jamaica remains in a precarious state, thanks in part to the IMF and the World Bank. IMF as an International Monetary Fund. The article was actually very interesting. I skimmed it. I didn't read it to study it, but I read it until my phone started acting strange. But it was a rather in-depth analysis. It was I don't know if I would call it an in-depth analysis, but it was not your typical cursory conversation that you see in the press. And it was talking about, these world banks and these big banks, and how they deal with how they're like the new colonizers, or a continuation of colonialism, or an extension of the colonial arm of European world, in that they encourage these countries that were for the most part formerly colonized to spend all of their money on debt repayment. That's a whole nother conversation there. And no money on infrastructure, things like education and food supplies for the people. Like they were saying how they encouraged or required or whatever Jamaica to get a whole bunch of powdered milk, get their milk supplies, powdered milk from the United States. And so it ended up killing their farming industry, or hampering their farming industry right there in Jamaica. So when we talk about, like here in Detroit, we have an organization called that talks about the black food security, food security. What happens when y'all can't even get milk from, cows, and when you can't feed yourself and you're relying on powdered milk from the United States? I remember when I was in Jamaica, I was shocked. Now, there would be people who would sell orange juice on the side of the road, as in oranges just cut and, squeezed and sold to you on the side of the road. But I was amazed at how much orange juice was packaged and had sugar added to it. And also, I was amazed at how many of these farms, plantations, farms I saw that were big corporations like Dole, and they were behind these big fences. It was like, it felt kind of intense then. But anyway, that's an article that I would read it again. I need to read it again. And I would encourage you to read it. It's coming off of Atlanta Black Star. And then the movie Life and Debt. I never heard of that movie, but yeah. Steve Harvey accused of making racist comment on New Year's Eve. Now, all of the stuff that I've seen about Steve Harvey was talking about making fun of the man's coat and hat or how he was dressed, which I really didn't understand. Y'all know how Steve Harvey dressed. He dressed like that. He's rather flamboyant. It's cold outside. He got on a coat and a hat. What is the issue? And then he had something over his, like a do-rag or something over his ears. But anyway, he looked like Steve Harvey. He looked like a lot of black men. He called himself being sharp. He was sharp enough. It's not my taste, but I didn't hear anybody say anything about the racist comment on New Year's Eve. But what it was is that, hold on a second. It was three little black boys who performed something. I don't really know and he said something like, well, these three little black boys sound better than all the white people combined, or something like that. So I thought he was going to say something ignorant about black people, but so anyway, that's that story. I don't have nothing else to say about it. Table Mountain climbers, Cape Town rescuers find bodies. Now, apparently Table Mountain is this tourist attraction. People go there to climb this mountain. And some people have made their transition on Table Mountain. I don't know why or how, but, rest in peace. Bridging Black and White, how St. Louis residents are trying to surmount racial inequalities post-Ferguson. This tiny Mexican town has more than 350 dentists to treat the thousands of Americans who flock across the border for dental care. Our medical system in this country is so expensive. Silicon Valley's elite throw secretive, drug-fueled sex parties where young women feel pressured to participate. Walmart reveals the most bizarre top-selling items in every state. Those articles are like fun and interesting to me. Virgin Trains has apologized after mocking a customer's complaint about everyday sexism on Twitter. So the person went to Twitter and they said something like, I was on a Virgin train and, the guy kept calling me honey. I noticed he calling all the other women honey. He ain't calling the men honey. See, this is everyday racism that we as women have to deal with. Now, I'm particularly sensitive to having gone to an all-women's college. When I first went to visit the college, I said something about an all-girls school, and the women said, oh no, we're an all-women's college. And I said, oh, I'm particularly sensitive to when people refer to women as girls, although now that I've gotten older, I sometimes refer to younger women as girls because they seem so young to me. Like, even though they be like 23, 24, I'm like, them little girls. 30, you be like, them little girls. But I really try to call them young women, not little girls or girls. But, we'll refer to young women as girls and not necessarily the young men as boys. Now, back in the day, it used to be a big thing where white men will refer to black men as boys. But anyway, when I'm sensitive to that. My ear hears that and it's like, I'm also sensitive to when people refer to God as he. most of the time I don't say anything to anybody because I figure that people are just coming from their consciousness and most people don't intend anything by it, and so I don't take anything by it, and I have my own, way of moving in the world, and I'm conscious of it, so I'm not absorbing a whole bunch of stuff. But so the person said something about that, and then Virgins, whoever their person is on their Twitter thing, made a joke about it. Ha ha ha, you're too sensitive, get over it, or whatever. I don't know, don't quote me on that. And so then they had to apologize, which, well, they should have. And I think that, as women, you experience microaggressions in the same way that as Black folks, we experience microaggressions. There's kind of like a constant assault on you as a woman that men don't experience. Just like there's a constant assault on you as a person of color that white people don't experience. And so sometimes they can be dismissive of your experience because they feel like, oh, you're being too sensitive. It's just a little thing. But a little thing after 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 little thing on top of little thing on top of little thing, it gets to be a lot, and it gets on your nerves, and it stresses you out, and you feel attacked, and you feel tired, and maybe even exhausted just trying to go out in the world and deal with the bull. So they ended up having to apologize, or they ended up apologizing. Newsweek under fire for tweeting tasteless images of Martin Luther King. So this major news corporation publication outlet is tweeting, it's not even Martin Luther King. Why are they tweeting pictures of this man in his casket? You know what my mother said? That almost sounds like saying we glad the Negro is dead. I mean, who's running things? Why I don't know what the context was. I guess I don't care what people just be out here doing the most. Some of these people y'all do the most and care the least. A hospital in Japan will use robots to help out on the night shift. They're replacing night workers with robots. When you have a problem, you hit the button and the robot comes in and you say, does the robot then transmit that message to the humans? Does the robot, I guess the robot could bring you water if you're like, I need water. I guess the robot could Subway bought back the $5 footlong, and it reveals a huge internal battle brewing at the chain. Subway used to be my spot because I'm like, I can see the food, it's fresh, they make their bread fresh, I can tell them not that tomato, I can control what's going on. I love a Subway. I haven't eaten maybe over the last year I've eaten there once because I was on the road or some strange, weird situation. I can't even remember. But at some point it occurred to me that their vegetables come in packaged, and how are they staying fresh? There's some chemical on there because if you cut up, food don't stay, it's like it's a corporation. That's corporate food. That's not like human food. So it's not the quality. I just left that whole quality alone. And it started with, there was a whole movement about some dough conditioner or something that they put in their bread that's supposed to be really bad for you. And so, I just realized they're a fast food chain. Why am I thinking that they're something other than a fast food chain? They're a fast food chain. That food ain't fresh. So we could see twice as many big earthquakes this year, scientists warn, because the equator has shrunk. I didn't even know the equator had shrunk. Did you know the equator shrunk? The scientists are saying. Apple will replace your iPhone battery even if it passes tests. So I guess you're supposed to take it in there and they were going to test it to see if it was slowed down and then decide whether you could get, and took your time. We don't have Apple stores all over the place. I don't have an Apple phone, but my mother does. And when she have issues, she can't go to her phone company to resolve them. She has to go to the Apple store, which is like 20-30 minutes away. It's a production. It's not convenient. So I guess initially they were trying to say you're going to take your butt out there to get it tested. And then they'd be like, no, it's okay. And then you'd have to come back later, make a whole nother amount of time later if and when you had trouble. So now they're saying, you can get it replaced. Just pay the $30 and get it replaced. Airlines are ditching seat back screens and making you use your phone to watch movies, your phone or your tablet or your computer, because people want to do that anyway. But what about, I guess everybody has a screen now? That's deep, isn't it? Or does everybody have a screen? Because I'm like, well, what about the people who don't have a screen? But I don't know. Israel, African migrants told to leave or face imprisonment. This is in Israel. They told the African migrants, you can go, you can leave, or we're going to put you in jail. And this is an ongoing conversation, an ongoing hostility that the Israelites have toward black folks. That's the impression I get. I don't know. But, you know, the Palestinians, you know, all of that. Dave Chappelle calls women who accuse Louis C.K. of sexual misconduct weak. And this is part of that same conversation we were having with Virgin Atlantic. So he's saying, I don't know, I haven't seen the special, but you know, oh, well, the guy masturbated in front of you and you getting all upset. Just suck it in. Don't leave comedy. You're weak, you know. But suck it up, not suck it in. They probably throw their dick in your face and, throw their penis in your face and be like, suck it in, suck it up, you weak. But you know, you deal with hold on a second. You deal with so much, some of these people deal with so much, you know, people harassing them, people touching them, people making comments about their body, people trying to push up on them aggressively, that, you know, the stuff start wearing on you and you be like, if I have to go through this, forget it. But of course, you know, being a man, I don't know what his experience has been. Maybe he has experienced a lot of sexual harassment, you know, I don't know. But, you know, he probably hasn't. And so it's easy for him to call somebody weak when you ain't walked in their shoes. So how do you know if they're weak or not? This is just going by the headline. Because, you know, Dave Chappelle is very talented, but I'm learning in my old age that people are people. People are human beings. It's like, I guess, just like when you're a child, you might look at your parents as like all powerful. They're like almost God. And sometimes we look at famous people or talented people like they're all powerful, or they're all right, or they're all like almost like God, like they can't do anything wrong. And they're human beings just like the rest of us. So they can have some redeeming qualities and they can have some qualities that are really jacked up. They can be really insightful in some ways and just really confused and foolish in other ways, because they're human beings too. So he can be really talented and a butthole at the same time. They can coexist. And that's part of maturity, right? Realizing that it's not just black and white. So anyway, that's what I got for this edition of Notes on the News. Thank you so much for clicking on the channel and sticking around. I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We're working on 200 subscribers. We're so close. You might be the one that puts us over the top. So exciting! Today is the best day ever. Share, comment, subscribe. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being fabulous you. Peace, babe.